Here, let's see if we can get to it and show you just exactly how far away I am from Fox 45. Let's zoom in if you can see that. This is my GPS navigation that we always keep an eye on. So we're 1,444 miles away from you.
That's a long walk.
Exactly due south, which is pretty interesting because we're about due south of, say, Frederick, but 1,400 miles south down at 18 degrees north latitude, and you guys did give it away on the beautiful island of Jamaica. Now, chances are, if you're watching, you're in Maryland this morning. So what kind of weather are we going to have? Well, of course, Mary Ellen told you more, and she will tell you more a little later. Some sprinkles this morning, and then maybe a mixed bag during the day. Not only did our honeymooning couple, Cameron and Sarah, learn a lot about Jamaican culture, they also improved their vocabulary.
We learned some new words. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, and no problem.
So far, no marital problems?
No, not at all.
It's our 1-week anniversary today.
And the best to Cameron and Sarah. Beautiful sunrise getting set to happen. Much more from Jamaica, Harold and Jennifer, in just a couple of minutes here on Fox 45.
Okay, thank you very much, Kirk.
Then, wouldn't you know it, at the bottom of the falls, I find lots of friends from Baltimore. What are you guys doing here in Jamaica?
I got married.
And this is your entourage?
Yeah.
Oh, my, congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. So you guys, everybody came down from Baltimore?
Yeah, we have some more that went up earlier.
What are you guys' names?
My name is Trezano Weems.
And you are?
Irvin Weems.
Is this kind of a surprise to go along with your wedding, that you're going to be on TV and back home?
No.
No, I didn't know.
Yes.
No, we didn't.
You didn't know anything about this?
No.
Well, now you do. So, what do you guys think of being here in Jamaica?
We love it!
You know, sir, we love you guys. We love you guys. Yeah. Woo! Have fun. No doubt about it. The artificial here can be nice, but the real thing was spectacular. They call that the Niagara of the Caribbean, and with good reason. Jamaica has mountains taller than any in the eastern half of the country, and also, of course, great marine life too. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to go swimming with dolphins, and it's not just swimming with them. Wait until you see what we've got coming up. And you know, it's interesting. I'm glad I didn't know about the Ravens game today until we were on the air, because instead of football last night, I was able to get the South African-Zimbabwe cricket score here in Jamaica.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
No, we did not. I watched sports on Jamaican television here on JTV, and they're helping us out with the satellite shot here this morning. And they had the South African and Zimbabwe cricket scores, but no Ravens football scores. By the way, I think South Africa did beat Zimbabwe, in case
Oh,
you're
well, that's good. We've got the Raven fever. I got the Raven colors on, and Harold's matching me over here. So.
You saw I had the T-shirt. I was thinking about him.
You are. You're doing a great job. Hey, say hi to that family if you see him again.
Hey, they're going to be... They're on their way back today to Baltimore, so what a surprise it was for me and them to run into the Baltimore wedding party right at the bottom of the falls. It was great to see so many friendly faces, and they watched the show. They were waving like, Kirk, what are you doing here? What are you doing?
Great.
Kirk, did you quit? Did you just leave? What happened?
Isn't that neat? And lo and behold, here you are working.
That's right. Much more coming up with the chef, and then we go swimming with dolphins, and plus maybe... No, for sure. I think we might have a couple getting married on the beach here live on Fox.
Wow. Look forward to it. Okay, Kirk.
For this exercise, you must swim on your stomach, like Superman, or like me, is the same. Okay? Now, swim in this position in the water. Keep your legs a little bit separated, just like your shoulders.
I feel like that guy who can't buckle his seatbelt on the plane. All right. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
This doesn't make me look fat, does it?
I wasn't sure if we were training the dolphins or the other way around. The dolphins even sung us a song of welcome. The pictures tell the story.
That was great. Nice job.
Now with your left hand, please.
Hi, baby. How are you? How are you? How are you? Oh, my. Oh, darling. Darling. Leslie. Now, what do you think? You think you had more fun than your husband out doing whatever he was doing this afternoon?
Definitely, yeah. This was great.
You think you did it in?
It was great. I would do it again.
Was it what you'd expected?
It's more than I expected, actually. Yeah.
Really?
I was a little nervous. It was a lot of fun.
I was a little nervous too.
Yeah.
What did you think of this event?
It was great.
It was well worth it.
Really?
Great birthday present.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, wait, it's for me. Sorry. I thought it was an unbelievable experience, but some may not feel that it's a good way to treat dolphins. I asked one of the founders, Marilyn Burrows, how she would answer her critics.
Well, for one, it has been proven that the dolphins in this sort of environment, it's their own ocean, and they're well fed, they're played with, and they live longer because of all the attention and the medical care they get. They're not stressed in any way, and at any time they want, they can leave.
They have the ability to just jump out?
Right over and go into the wide Caribbean Ocean.
And you told me it was something kind of interesting a day or two ago that it was almost like friends came to visit.
Yes.
Explain that.
We've had it on 2 occasions actually, but about 4 days ago, 3 dolphins came right up to the stones, jumped up, and they had a conversation over the stones. They kept popping their heads up and going down, popping, and they spent about 20 minutes there just communicating over the rocks.
And it was an amazing thing to see, to swim with the dolphins. And I know there may be some folks that think that's exploitation of animals, but I was there, as you saw, right with those animals, and they were right on top of me. Those are huge animals. Those dolphins weighed 800 and 900 pounds respectively, and I felt no threat from them. It almost was like we were one with them. In the ocean, of course, we are the species that controls the world pretty much, the environment of the world, and those guys, in my view, acted as somewhat as animal ambassadors. They were like, hey guys, here we are, we're out in the ocean. You may not see us on a day-to-day basis, but what you do affects us. So I thought they did a fine job as animal ambassadors, and as you saw, they seemed to be pretty happy, and they made a lot of folks lots of happy at Dolphin Cove, just a couple of miles east of here on Ocho Rios. And I want to show you one thing that I was wearing out there, and this is something you got to keep in mind, is to be careful of the hot Jamaican sun, because the last thing you want to do is get here on your first day and get some kind of vicious sunburn and have it ruin the next couple of days of your trip. This is something called a rash vest that's really big in Australia and the kids there wear, and what it does is it blocks the UV, and it's very comfortable to wear in the water. So this is one of the tricks that I use to try to get from too sunburned, and I was surprised just being out for the couple hours I used lots of sunscreen on my face and still got a good bit of sun. So be careful with the sun, but have fun, and there's so many great ways you can do it. And then after you're out swimming with the dolphins or taking a mountain bike ride, this is the biggest hot tub I have ever seen here at Sandals Dun River in Ocho Rios. So, well, to weather it, Mary Ellen Pan is in for me today. And thank you, Mary Ellen, for letting me take this little field trip, this educational field trip down to the Caribbean.
No problem. I know you're enjoying yourself, but you do seem to be working pretty hard.
Oh, I am. You know, trying to show the world what it's like down here. If you haven't been out of the country, this is a good place to go, because it's only, really, it takes the same distance as far as the flight as it does to drive to Ocean City. It's less than a 3-hour flight, and it's nonstop right down here to Jamaica, and it's like coming to another world. It's fantastic. How about the weather? I don't think we'd use fantastic for Baltimore's weather for today.
No, not quite. But
by the authority vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. You may show your best kiss for your North American audience. Go ahead with that.
Yay! Oh, love is definitely in the air at Fox 45. Do you feel different?
Yeah, I feel married.
You guys happy?
Oh, excellent.
All right, we're going to go check and see. One of the first things you do, I understand, we're going to send you, maybe change clothes, but then send you out on a Hobie Cat. You guys ready to do that with us?
Great.
Sure.
All right, we're going to take a little Hobie Cat lesson and find out about some of the water sports. One more hand. Let's hear a hand for the couple, the married couple here. Yay! Wow, I think that's a first for us, Harold and Jennifer, on Fox 45, a wedding on the air. Who will be next? Now, let's see. You,
that was so beautiful.
Joy.
Yeah, you know, she sounded kind of like Oprah in The Color Purple. I'm married now.
Well, the question is, who's going to be next, since none of us are married, you know, so who will be?
I don't know.
It could be you, Kirk.
Well, hey, listen, if you extend your trip another day, why don't you go searching the seas out there?
Yeah, that's that's a good idea. Leave the dolphins
never
alone
know.
and find yourself a lady friend down there.
There could be a wedding down there, and they could realize over a foo-foo drink that this was not the man I wanted. And you could just be sitting right there at the bar.
I don't know, it's one of the wild things. Wild things happen when you come down into the tropics.
And they do in your life.
A multi-million-dollar heiress you could wed right at the bar.
You know me oh too well, don't you?
Absolutely.
By the power invested in me, man. We want you back here.
By the power of attorney vested in me.
Yeah, tell you, here's the marriage. No kidding. Here is the marriage registry. Here's the marriage registry right on the table. There it is, right there on the table. Married in Jamaica. There it is.
Would you do that? Do you think Kirk?
Sure, if the right, the problem is I have to find exactly the right person. We're still on that little quest, as we've talked about before. You know, we've dealt with that issue previously. But you know what we're going to deal with now is back behind me. Take out the Hobie Cats. Our wedding couple is going to go out sailing, and who knows, maybe I'll sail off into the Caribbean too. You
What's
never know.
a Hobie Cat?
That's a little boat that you
Hobie
see
Cat.
right back there.
Right back here. These are the Hobie Cats, right there back behind me. So that's just some of the water sports. They've got all kinds of great things, and of course it's all included if you choose to come vacation at Sandals or choose to come get married, as our couple from Texas did. Just past the beautiful half-moon sky, which is appropriate because look at this. I picked up a copy of Resorts and Great Hotels of the World, and wouldn't you know it, on the cover is right where I am here at Half Moon Bay. And it's amazing to look at the stars in the Caribbean because you don't have so much of the ambient light. Jamaica is a country where I am now of about 2.5 million people, but 70% of those folks still live in rural areas. And then the mountains, look at some of the clouds we took a picture of yesterday afternoon. Now, it's amazing because the beaches will be often rain-free, but the mountains will see some thunderstorms, and you can be on the beach and yet hear thunder. This is called orographic lifting, if you want a little meteorological term for you, early in the morning that creates these beautiful clouds that we have here in Jamaica. Now, what about clouds in Baltimore? We had the front push through yesterday, so maybe a few clouds coming in this afternoon, but it's a cool start to the day. It's roughly 77 degrees with a dew point of about 74 here in Jamaica. It's much cooler and drier in Baltimore. Here's the way your 5-day forecast shapes up. It looks pretty good as we head through the next couple of days with just a slight chance of some showers on Thursday. Always a chance of some tropical showers here in Jamaica, but what a great experience it is. And I'll show you just a little more, including where my residence was after a tough day of being, as Harold and Jennifer said, the official tourist. You know, it's a tough job, but somebody's got to have it on their business card, official tourist. Let's see if there are any official problems on the roadway this morning. Joy Pons, I know you have toured the world, Joy, right?
Not really, but I've been to Jamaica.
Oh.
I'm hoping to tour the world.
It's a great thing to do, to get outside and see other cultures and the way other people live. Because Columbus really didn't discover America. Columbus never made it to the Chesapeake Bay, but he made it here to Jamaica on his second voyage in 1494. And Columbus said, "The fairest land eyes have ever beheld. The mountains touch the sky," and they really do. And you guys ready for a real adventure? Want me to try some Spanish here?
Go ahead.
Okay, this is pretty scary for me. El Golfo de Buen Tiempo.
The Gulf has great weather.
The Gulf of Good, yes!
How did you know that?
Thank you.
Jennifer, you got...
¿Cuál es la temperatura? And that's when you say, El Golfo es bien tiempo.
Oh my, wow. Jennifer, that's
I lived
fantastic.
in Spain for 4 years, you forget.
Oh, all right, you cheated.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, but you know, I'm going to go a little later on. You'll see me, actually, they let me on a golf course here in Jamaica. I got my golf course, I got my golf shirt on here. We're going to meet, or at least meet the spirit of Annie, the White Witch of Rose Hall. Wait until you see this. Take a whitewater raft, well, a little whitewater. Take a little raft trip a little later on. And after doing all this the last 2 days, I was exhausted, but I did have a relaxing villa to stay in. Let me show you a little bit of it.
Okay.
Okay. After a day like I've had, as much fun as it was, I gotta cool off. Just jump the hedge.
That's his villa?
That's where he's living.
By the way, welcome to my villa.
No.
Can't do that for $1,200 a month here, can you?
Are you kidding?
Welcome to my pool.
No.
Welcome to my pool. You know, the socks, I just gotta go. Welcome to my pool.
Man.
Oh, it's so wonderful.
That is nice, villa.
That is very nice.
Oh,
that is amazing.
It's hard to believe tomorrow I have to be back in Baltimore. Yep.
Oh,
You know,
that is amazing.
Oh, that is really great.
Kirk, you did not stay there.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you stayed?
That's my villa. I needed it. I needed to relax. I didn't have a chance, unfortunately, to show you my cook or my valet, but they were there to help me out.
Now, how much does something like that run, Kirk? Real price? Do you have any idea?
It's out of my range. I'm thinking off-season, maybe $700 a night.
Really?
Is that amazing?
Yeah. So it is an incredible place. And I went to this resort we're at, Half Moon. It's not just the Half Moon Country Club. It's the Half Moon Golf, Tennis, and Beach Club. They have over 50 swimming pools, including one that was just for me. And we've got a lot more to show you live from Jamaica coming up after the sun rises. Yes, ma'am.
Kirk.
Yes.
Is there anyone else staying with you at the villa? Like, are there other tenants? Is it like a bed and breakfast place, or is it?
No, there are a couple of other media folks. I have 7 bedrooms, so I thought I could share with a few folks. Some of the folks that are helping out from TVJ or JTV, Jamaican Television, that are helping us out. So, you know, some of the folks had to take care of some of the other rooms. I really didn't need the entire place all to myself.
Well, you deserve it.
Do you know what I'm standing on, guys? I don't know if we have one of these in Maryland.
Well, we can't see your feet.
Yeah, what are you on, Kirk?
Let me come over here and show you this. This gives you a hint. This gives you a hint. What is this? You got any idea?
Well, turn it sideways.
Oh, croquet.
Croquet, it's a croquet lawn. Absolutely. In fact, this resort, the Half Moon Beach Tennis, you know, add all that stuff together. This was the United States Croquet Association Resort of the Year. But this is the upscale croquet, and the rules, I don't know. But golf, believe it or not, I tried to play. Take a look at this. Now, I've been to the driving range a couple of times, but I have not actually played a hole of golf in more than a decade. But with the help of Club Pro Kevin Cunningham, I thought, hey, I can't do too much damage. Can I? What do people need to think about when they think about playing golf in Jamaica? For instance, does somebody need to bring their own clubs, or what's the etiquette they need to know?
Here at Half Moon, we have over 40 sets of Callaway golf clubs to rent, which are the latest golf clubs. Right. You don't have to be a player to be able to play on the golf course.
So you're actually going to let me play one hole here with you?
We're going to try.
All right, here we go. Whoa, not too bad. Am I going to get on the green?
There you go.
Wow,
how about that?
I got on the green.
They're never going to believe that's the first shot.
No, that is honestly, Kevin, tell them, have I had any practice?
It was the first shot, actually.
You guys make all the rafts here yourselves?
Yeah, all the roughs are being made by all the captains. Oh. And rough can finish like within 1 day. You know, you have a group of guys gets around, they participate in each other's and helping. And it can done within 2 or 3 hours.
We were off down the river, but it wasn't long before I wanted to try my hand at being captain of the raft. It was fun and a beautiful tropical ride, but I soon decided I better hand the bamboo pole back to the real captain.
Oh, get it back to the captain.
Survived another Jamaican adventure.
We're in the surf. Keep him going there. Well done, Kirk.
Now, if you think you've been out on some bad dates, wait till you hear about Annie, a white witch who lived here at Rose Hall. I'm Kirk Clyatt. I'll have more live from Montego Bay, Jamaica, coming up in minutes on Fox 45 Morning News.
The second one, she stabbed. After stabbing him, she poured hot oil into his ears. The third one, she strangled with the help of the slave guy who strangled her, which is Taku. This is where Annie, she's buried.
Wow.
When the Rollins bought the house, it was a dirt grave with a wooden cross tucked in it. They got scientists to exhume the bones. They said it's hers. They also got psychic to talk to her spirit.
Now, what did the psychic have to say?
Actually, they talked to her spirit. She said she don't want to see no one in the house after 6.
No one after 6 o'clock?
No one after 6. So we tried to be out by 15 minutes to 6.
So nobody spends the night in those bedrooms?
No one.
Just goes to show you, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Eventually, Taku, her slave lover, did it in. What do you think, Harold and Jennifer? Would you be willing to spend the night there at Rose Hall?
Not after 6.
Tell you what, buddy, I'll stick with the villa.
Yeah.
Okay? But I do like the history lesson, though.
Interesting.
What's that? Yes, it was fascinating, but the view, you wouldn't take that chance?
I have not after 6.
No, I'm not feeling that at all, Kirk. Not even a little bit.
Okay. Well, you know what? Before we wrap up here at 9 o'clock, I think I'll have to feel the full impact of the beautiful Caribbean Sea. So we'll be back with at least a couple more checks with you, live from Montego Bay.
What did the other people do when they heard the noise?
Well, there was nobody. I'm up on the 14th floor.
At a time like this, you really want to be back home and with your family and with your coworkers and to be back on the air. And to simply be trapped and not be able to go, the loss of liberty is very, very difficult to deal with. Jamaica is a striving, developing country, but under the circumstances and with State Department warnings that have been issued regarding Americans traveling overseas, it isn't prudent now for me to leave the complex that I'm on.
Wow. Isn't that neat?
I'm just so glad to be breathing.
Wow.
To be back in the U.S. and to be here. It was just an amazing experience. We'll talk more about as the week progresses. It seems like so long ago that this time last week, I was sitting there on the beach of the Caribbean Sea right here on Fox 45 Morning News. And then, of course, the tragic events of the week. So we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking to Jane King from Wall Street later this morning. People are on pins and needles. Just checking the Nikkei, the Tokyo Index, down 5% today. It's at its lowest level now since 1984, not 94, 84. So we're talking a 17-year low for the Nikkei, and unfortunately the European indices are getting hammered hard this morning. So we'll find out what the mood is on Wall Street. Maybe there'll be some recovery. Warren Buffett, who you may know is a legendary investor, says he's not selling anything. So we'll have to wait and see, because this is the longest shutdown of Wall Street since 1914.
Wow.
Since World War I. So, of course, this is one of the good indications, though, that Wall Street is opening to get things back to normal.
Yeah, and they're hoping so. We were talking all last week with Jim Hartman. He said, you know, it may be hard in the beginning, but it's going to get back to normal.
Yeah, there has a pattern that's seen, and we'll ask Jane about this, that when you do have these types of tragic events like Pearl Harbor, which, of course, was 1941, actually, after President Kennedy was assassinated, the market went up, which is kind of interesting to note. So the general sentiment, at least from what I know, and Jane will collaborate on this and let us know if this is correct, that the market is expected to go down at first, and then we should see a pretty good recovery as we head towards the year. Let's hope. Yeah. That's right.
Well, how is the, speaking of taking back seats.
Isn't this amazing
the
what has
weather
happened?
took a back seat. My parents are in Tampa, and all of a sudden called me and said, we all of a sudden have 4 inches of rain and a leak in our house. So.
Very close to a hurricane when it hit Florida, Gabrielle. We have 2 hurricanes in the Atlantic. And probably lots of, what, 2 hurricanes? Yeah. We have got clouds just off the Maryland coast that are associated with the hurricane. That's where I was. What an odyssey to get back from Jamaica. Ended up in Miami for a while, then up to Fort Lauderdale. But nothing felt better than to get off that plane and be back home here at BWI. Things looking pretty good. Clouds off to our west, and those clouds are associated with a cold front. That cold front will bring us some showers, but high pressure is going to keep them at bay for a couple of days. And good morning. Welcome back to Fox 45 Morning News at 6:47. The trouble in Asia. Japan's key index, the Nikkei, is down again today, closing at a 17-year low at 96.43. It's really amazing when you consider about 1990, that indices was close to 40,000, now under 10,000. Japanese investors fled export stocks as the dollar fell against the yen amid concerns, of course, about the U.S. economic outlook. We get a better idea of that outlook in just a few hours when Wall Street reopens, the longest closure there's been since World War I. Jane King is now live in New York with more on that. Jane, first, how does it feel for you to be back at work, and what was it like for you to get to work after all the tragic events of last week?
Well, it's a little strange to be back. I was here Tuesday, haven't been back since the attacks on Tuesday, but just logistically, it's much more difficult to get to work now. I used to be able to drive a car down here. I can't get even near the New York Stock Exchange with a car now. We had to take the train. I had to go through 5 sets of law enforcement to get to work today. They're checking badges, and the area is still very smoky, but the rescue workers and the cleanup crew has done a tremendous job in cleaning up this neighborhood. It's just amazing the work they've been able to do in less than a week.
Well, Jane, I guess lots of folks are already getting back to work or they're on Wall Street. What's the mood of the investors and the traders as we're just now a few hours away from the reopening of the markets?
Well, it's going to be a very difficult day. A lot of heavy hearts here, very solemn. A lot of people closely associated with Wall Street were lost. So a lot of people dealing with deaths of friends and coworkers, but we know that we have to get back to work. We have a job to do. We don't want terrorists to succeed at this, so we're coming back and we're going to do the best job that we can today.
Now, were there, over the weekend, I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, that the brokerage firms and the markets themselves did practice run-throughs to make sure everything was okay and that the markets will function smoothly when they do reopen?
That's absolutely correct. They did several tests over the weekend. They found all the systems to be working well. Still, though, you know, this is an unprecedented event. We lost 12 million square feet of office space, and a lot of that was brokerage firms. So they've had to relocate to other offices. Will they have their phones completely running? We'll be able to get in touch. The computers all be able to communicate with each other. So it could be a very volatile, very kind of strange day for the markets, but we're here, we're ready to get back, and we're going to do the best job we can.
Well, Jane, let's hope that many investors follow the lead of Warren Buffett, who's, of course, one of America's richest men and a premier investor. And he says he doesn't plan on selling anything. But the facts are we're 500 points away from the low for the year on the Dow at 96.05, just 75 points away on the NASDAQ at 1695. What do you feel, or what kind of sense do you get will happen when the markets do reopen? Is there going to be a strong wave of initial selling?
Well, I do hear that some selling would be totally expected and normal at the opening, but that we're hearing Warren Buffett saying he won't sell, in fact, may even buy some stock is reassuring. The former CEO of General Electric, Jack Welch, says he's not going to sell his stock as well. The government has implemented they've eased the restrictions on companies buying their own shares. That will help today. And there's this wild card, this patriotism play that may enter the stock market today as well. So really, it's just unprecedented. We don't know what to expect. It will certainly be very interesting to watch how this all plays out today.
And I guess the airline industry and the insurance industry will be two sectors that will be carefully watched, too, because of their potential liabilities and losses.
They will be. In fact, Congress talking about a bailout plan for the airlines. They haven't approved that yet. When that happens, that could help. Some areas that may actually benefit, mainly defensive plays. Pharmaceutical companies are trading higher in Europe. They figure if people are cutting back on other things, they're still going to buy the drugs that they need. Gold is trading higher as well. We'll see how oil does today. That will be an interesting one to watch. So kind of some of those defensive stocks are doing better. Of course, the airlines and insurance probably going to get hit hard today.
Jane, thanks so much. I know it's going to be a busy day for you, and we'll check back with you a little later live this morning here from Wall Street on Fox 45. Now, coming up next, when we come back, we'll check in with our own financial advisor from Legg Mason. Jim Hartman will give us his perspective on the market reopening and what it could mean for you. It's 6:52. That's coming up next with Jennifer on Fox 45 Morning News. That sure, we're going to complain, we're going to be grumpy with each other, but when push comes to shove, this shows we are one big family here in America, and I pity what's going to happen to the people that did this to us here in the United States.
And especially in the one city that people are known for kind of shrugging shoulders and going their own way,
they
minding
say
their own business.
when push comes to shove, you know, New York's
really
a good place.
Come together. It's been a beautiful sight to see. One of the few beautiful sights to see.
I was never prouder, as I mentioned, to be an American than to get back home. I mean, I almost wanted to do something you see the Pope do. Get back in the United States, just thank God I'm back in America. It was an amazing experience to be trapped out of the country last week, and then the struggle that it was to get back into America. But thankfully, you know, and here again, while it was an adventure for me, I have nothing to complain about compared to what the victims, of course, went through, their families and the rescue workers and everyone that is doing it. Hopefully, though, today, things will get back to normal and people are beginning to put things back in place because the world keeps on going.
Yeah, I was reading part of your journal too. You were reading it to me about your experience. It's neat that you kept a journal.
Oh, I did. I had too much time. I needed to put that, and I'll have that up on my website in the next couple of weeks after things kind of settle down. Just what it was like to be trapped in a developing nation with your country under attack.
Yeah.
So where I was, let's show you, of course, if you were with us last week, what a world, what a difference our world is compared to the way it was last week when I was on the beaches of the Caribbean Sea, and hopefully you saw that here on Fox 45 Morning News. And then my only real concern was to get 1,500 miles back home here to Maryland, kind of a surreptitious route through Florida, which of course was dealing with almost a hurricane, a very strong tropical storm last week, which has now become a hurricane as it's moved into the warm waters of the Gulf Stream. What we've got to deal with here in Maryland, a few clouds and a front that is to our west, and that front will impact us, but probably not until later in the week. We are starting to see that cool down as we near the official start of fall. This is going to be, it looks like, our low. Our lows are now generally coming right before 7 o'clock with sunrise.
Before the collapse of those towers.
Well, you know, it's a new world now, and if you're going to be traveling, you have to just to do things differently than you did.
Yeah.
I learned firsthand getting out of a developing nation, out of Jamaica on Saturday, and I literally had to camp out at the airport and just, like, get on the airplane. We're not going to let the airplane get out of the country without me.
What did you notice? Did you notice tightened security?
Oh, my gosh. I had my checked, not my carry-on luggage, but my checked luggage on the adventure getting from Montego Bay in Jamaica to here in Baltimore, checked twice. And certain things that I used to always carry, like you may have one of these, you may have a Leatherman, which I always kept in my briefcase because it can do a lot of things, but it does have a long knife blade. These things are going to be confiscated from you if you have them in your carry-on baggage, and that's going to be a lot of trouble. So these things, you know, if you've got a knife that's worth $50, $60, $70, you're not going to see it again unless somehow you can get it in your luggage. So even things like, I saw numerous things like razors, just a regular razor. Forget it. Don't even have that in there. Even little things like a nail clipper. You may say, why? Well, it's got a little, you know, knife point on the end. But large knives like this, razors, simply forget it. Leave it. You're going to have to throw them away. Matches, lighters, those type of things. Even things like a flashlight, like a little mag light. These, they can be some designed where they turn into, you can even make things that look like these into little weapons and, you know, firearms. And of course, they're very hard to begin with. So these are the kind of things that you want to think twice about, because what's going to happen is you get to that security where they check your carry-on luggage, and you're either going to have to abandon the property or give it to a friend. And of course, now only passengers are allowed through the screening area. You've got to have a ticket to actually get to the gate. You've got a boarding pass for a flight in that concourse to get to the gate. So it's a new world of air travel. And in Fort Lauderdale, which was one of the stops on getting back home, I saw the longest line I've ever seen at the U.S. air counter. And I would say it was, you were talking about lines of 100. I would say it's more than 100. The people were talking at the end of the line of over a 3-hour wait. So hopefully it won't be that bad at BWI, but with the Reagan National being closed indefinitely, it's just going to be a real adventure to get from Baltimore to anywhere, or getting back home to Baltimore, certainly continuing for the next few weeks.
Speaking of Baltimore, and welcome back.
Thank you. It's great, believe me. I've never been so happy to be home in my whole life.
How is the weather in Baltimore?
The weather is looking
chilly over the
good.
weekend.
It has indeed, and we will have your forecast and let you know about what's going on with 2 hurricanes in the
we're not
Atlantic
doing weather right now?
coming up in just a couple of months. That's when Fox 45 Morning News continues.
Okay.
All right.